Because here's the deal. If you play threats and everyone knows what you're going to play, they brought the right answers for this. They prepared decks for these kinds of situations. Harvest Golem doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but suddenly you have a minion. That's what I mean. Suddenly you have a minion that sticks around for an extra turn or two. You know, that's extra potential damage you're getting. And Waterloo does not have the kind of hand that maybe can deal with this opening just yet. This is Darnat. Well, Fireworks
that helps.
Certainly will change a lot of this dynamic. But I mean, before that, it was Darnassus Aspirant into Curve into the Harvest Golem.
Yeah.
You know, they've been thinking about how their cards work synergistically, not necessarily just, is this card good enough? If so, then I want to include it in my deck. They're thinking about how each one impacts the next.
And Harvest Golem, to me, screams old school token druid. With Violet Teachers, Power of the Wilds, things like that. That was a card that just stuck around for a long time and gave you those extra tokens that you could use for Savage Roar or to buff up with Power of the Wild. Now, the rest of these cards, it's hard to tell yet. All these cards can fit into a token druid.
Yeah, Harvest Golem was one of those cards where when you used to play it in druid, it was just, for lack of a better 3-drop, Harvest Golem was about the most efficient guy you had out there.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of looking at this from the coin perspective. So when you have coin, I mean, maybe I would dare say it's in replacement of Shredder. That to me seems like it's a little bit far-fetched. But the ability to coin into a Darnassus Aspirant and then play a Harvest Golem afterwards just gives you that many more ways to actually curve into your build. So the big question to me is actually what they're cutting out to fit in cards like this. And then you'll find yourselves in these kinds of positions where maybe you didn't want to use the coin this turn. Well, Harvest Golem can help filter out those turns for you as well. It's not like the greatest play in the world right here, but it gives Waterloo something to do with their resources, and that's really the kind of fight that you're against when you're fighting these control decks. You have to make them use their resources, so that way your bigger and better minions can stick to the board afterwards. And then even when this goes unanswered, you get a lot of information about how your opponent's hand's built.
Yeah, you feel better about fighting for the board with a Harvest Golem than you do with something like a Shade of Naxxramas, because it takes time to ramp up, where Harvest Golem, sort of that consistency that you talked about, you can get that value right away. And Waterloo, I really like their deck lineup coming into this. Playing the Control Warrior instead of the Patron Warrior to go along with the that Dragon Priest that they played earlier. They already have that tempo deck, and it looks like they could be, with their tech choice as well, the double Light Bomb in their Priest, be targeting Patron Warrior.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me as well. And what looks like to me this game is that their hand's getting a little bit heavy. Now, the benefit they have is with 2 Armorsmiths and a Deathbite, you're likely going to have a lot of time to continue to fight and get to these later stages.
Oh, yeah.
So if they pick up 1 or 2 more utility spells, I can see them smooth sailing to a win in this one, which is something that we have not often said about Control Warrior versus Druid. Druid applies a lot of pressure, gets a lot of damage in, forces warriors to use weapons and put a lot of pressure on their life total. They get that dangerous 9-mana turn where Force Nature and Savage Roar provides those big bursts. But it looks to me like Waterloo's going to be able to successfully fight through this.
And that's classically been one of the poorer matchups for Warrior. And nowadays, a lot of Warriors are building their decks with more, Control Warriors are building their decks with more armor. But Waterloo looks like they're pretty heavy on the threats with Baron Geddon and Dr. Boom in that 7 slot. Those are some pretty big threats thrown in there. So they have Whitewell.
That's a great one if you're in Waterloo's spot.
You're not going to put any pressure on, but oh boy.
Well,
it's not going to put any pressure on you.
Yeah, Lightwell sitting at 0-4, not really doing anything outside of maybe providing some Savage Roar fodder in the future. But this is a board that's very scary if you're in Kansas's spot. And you have no way to contest these Armorsmiths without investing a pretty important card. The Deathbite's going to make sure that you can't really stick a threat to the board, and that Innervate Draw is not doing anything for their hand at the moment.
No, you can Innervate out maybe a Dalaran Aspirant in this case, but
solid.
Might be better to save it for a big combo later on in the game. A lot of times what you need, if a Warrior has a good start and they can get to high health totals, something like just having one turn where you have one creature stick and double combo later in the game, sometimes those are the win conditions that you need to go to, but going with the cat.
I like favoring the charge in this spot. I think the Deathbite's going to pose too much of a threat to your Druid of the Claw as it is. Either way, an Armorsmith's going to be biting the board. Might as well take out the 4 health one instead. But something else that happens too is the worry that the Armorsmiths get out of control with just a couple of small effects.
Well, it looks like they are going to go ahead and throw out the Dalaran Aspirant here, or Darnassus Aspirant, I'm sorry. And
every point of damage on the board definitely matters at the end of the day. Kansas kind of recognizing their hand is a little bit short on options at the moment. Just going to have to do something to get repetitive damage.
Yeah. Waterloo, though, pretty good pickup with the Sludge Belcher. If they didn't pick up something to play, if they picked up another big guy, they would have had nothing to play on this turn. It would have been an armor up, maybe a shield slam if they felt like that the Aspirant and the Druid of the Claw together were threatening enough to use it, but picking up a nice 5-drop to help curve out into those big 7s, pretty big deal.
Yeah, and this really is going to be the spot where Waterloo starts to turn the corner. When they fortified this board position, I mean, this is a situation you don't often get to in this matchup, is the Warrior having the lead going into turn 6, and then afterwards, the major minion's going to just be raining terror on this board position, and Kansas, once again, picks up a utility spell, nothing to do.
And hiding that Armor Smith behind the Sludge Belcher, we can see Kansas does have ways to deal with it, but that can be pretty problematic because the 5 health plus the 1-2 slime is an awkward amount of health to get through without giving the Warrior too much armor. It's fortunate for Kansas that they do have ways to get through it pretty efficiently.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for them is that the Pilot Shredder spawned a 0 power minion, so it effectively gave them little to no effect from the Piloted Shredder Death Rattle.
Usually they don't get pressured out enough to where the heal ever even matters in this matchup.
Even Sylvanas being added to this hand. Waterloo, just all the power plays on their side of the board. Kansas is, I think, going to be likely to have to use this Force Nature Savage Roar defensively.
Yeah, they're thinking, which one of these big 7 drops are we gonna plop down on the board?
It's so difficult to have all of these powerful 7 and 8 and 9 drops to play. How are we going to do this?
That one thing is that light wall starting to get pretty annoying. They haven't been able to take it out. It's lived for like 6 turns.
Yeah, what else is pretty annoying for Kansas is just the sequence of draws that they've had. They can take care of the Doctor Boom, but at what cost?
Pretty much their entire hand, and the only thing that they'll have to develop is a Keeper of the Grove. They're not going to put on any pressure in this game, and Waterloo is just going to keep dropping big threat after big threat.
After Bob.
Yeah, after bomb.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, okay. Yep, indeed. Yeah, do you have to use, I mean, you can use, this is just such a tough turn. No Innervate left as well.
Yeah, they're trying to figure this out, but I don't think you can, don't know if there's much of a,
you can swipe, Keeper, and then Keeper again to take out the Doctor Boom.
I think it's probably best to go with the Savage Roar route.
Yeah.
You know, you're making use of the Light Well. You're making use of a card that you're going to likely have to expend anyway. Just not much to do with this spot, and, you know, hope for the best.
Oh.
Well, they're trying to keep this Light Well alive, and it stays alive through the Boombot. Wait, yeah, it stays alive through the Boombots even.
That's pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd want to attack before, but I guess they're trying to maybe save a little. What? No. If they're trying to save face damage, then throwing the Light Wall in would have been better because then they wouldn't have to attack the Sludge Belcher.
Really just kind of running out of time, have to make a decision, and at the end of the day, not sure it matters too much. I mean, Sylvanas on the empty board, Kansas with 2 cards effectively in hand, and the coin's almost dead at this point.
Yeah.
Lothab normally a great draw in a position like this, but they're not the ones with the lead.
Yeah. There's a card that I'd love to see coming back in Control Warrior, the Gorehowl. Talked about it earlier, with more ways to gain armor in Control Warrior, cards like Bash and just a card, True Heart, that make your hero power twice as effective. Gorehowl becomes so much better of a card because you can keep swinging turn after turn, keep that board control turn after turn, and not have to worry about your health as much as you would have in the past.
Look at Waterloo having a great time over there. They know that this spells great news for them, and just like you said, that Gorehowl, it's about to rain terror on Kansas' side of the board. I don't think there's any way they're coming back in this game, TJ.
They love hitting that armor up button, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't see any reason why. Well, I guess there is some merit to plopping down the Ysera here.
Definitely is. But, gosh, I mean, saving the Sylvanas for return. Your opponents obviously couldn't deal with the Sylvanas, so the Ysera definitely has a lot of merits. But at the same time, there's also merits just getting the Gorehowl out.
Yeah. Again, it's like, which one of these awesome cards should we use in this situation?
Oh, it's so tough to use all of the best cards in my hand that go completely uncontested.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be Ysera indeed.
A golden Ysera to boot.
So Kansas does have a silence effect for this, but you still have to deal with the 4-12 body.
Yeah, it's just going to eat away at your board, and I mean, that's how Druids win. They build a big enough board and then end up closing out the game with the combo, but now Kansas is running out of cards. Waterloo stayed at a really great health total. I mean, they haven't gone below like 26 so far this game, and they just don't have the resources to be able to build a big enough board to try and close out the game with the combo.
You know what? You can take away a dragon's voice, but you still got to deal with the dragon's talons and claws,
wings and tail.
Oh my.
Horns, scales, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's everything that's bad for you is really what it boils down to. Gonna favor their own health over Ysera's health, and with so many powerful options in your hand, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trouble, Laughing Sister, I can guarantee you. Not for you, though.
Yeah, Laughing Sister, not
Just
the
like
best.
rubbing it in.
Not the best dream card, but still, a 3/5 body that can't be targeted by spells is actually pretty annoying.
Kansas also does have an opportunity to clear here now with his Force of Nature, so they're going to elect to draw a card first.
Living Roots.
They're trying to find a way if there's a way to actually push through here, but I think their plan is actually try to grind out Waterloo from this game. I mean, you've just seen a couple of pretty darn big threats.
It's still really tough to do with Warrior, though, because in a grinding game where both players are sort of top decking, I mean, I guess Druid has the advantage in the fact that they can get an Ancient of Lore off the top and just drop a bunch of medium-sized threat that sometimes Warriors have trouble dealing with. But Waterloo still looks like they're sitting in a pretty good spot.
Add Cruel Taskmaster, Acolyte on top of what you have on the board. So many good options, and so they're going to start getting aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, they can just, looks like they might just throw down a Baron Get in here and just start pushing damage. They still have a 6 damage Gorehouse sitting there. I mean, they can just take that to the face.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Baron Get says, you know what, little tree sapling thing, guys, not today.
Yeah, they look so happy, too. It feels so bad.
They were so happy.
To death.
And Force Nature Savage here. No longer a full board clear, but still a pretty darn good one at that. And again, I don't see. I mean, with the Innervate draw, the actual worst card left in their deck, there's just really no other direction to take.
Yeah, and you can tell they look a little bit saying, "Ah, man, this game it got a little bit out of hand pretty early on. They just never found the pressure that they needed in order to take out the Control Warrior."
Yep.
And they're going to think about it for a while, but I don't think they can really pass up an opportunity here because they're looking at lethal on board with a 6 damage Gorehowl.
Yeah, just got to go for it and hope for the best. I'm so close to taking out the board. So far away.
Mm-hmm. It looks like they're going to take out the Baron Geddon here as opposed to the silenced Ysera because they do have to leave one of those 5 health creatures up, I do believe.
Bingo. Bingo. Bongo.
Nice.
Well, they've done a good job at taking care of the threats. Well, just in case we didn't have enough.
That's going to be it. Wow. Sheesh.
Major threat after major threat after major threat after major threat after major threat. Waterloo is going to take a convincing and decisive game number 3 and the 2-1 lead now. Kansas, you know what? I think they're feeling a lot of pressure, but I think their attitudes, they're never going to let them get out of it. And these guys have been smiles all match.